I remember Gaia? This is her now. Andrew, and this is Gayties Toys. On today's MIA 80s Ladies, we're getting into a property that was pretty much, the longest running cartoon series of the 90s, as well as one that I just, was not interested in for reasons that we'll get into. But in the meantime, let's just get right into Captan Planet and the Planeteers, Gaia. Captan Planet and the Planeteers was originally designed and produced by Ted Turner and Barbara Pyle, who wanted to create a sort of, kind of environmentally message-heavy superhero. The original run ran from 1990 to 1992 over 3 seasons. A sequel series to the original, The New Adventures of Captan Planet, would run for another 3 seasons from 1993 to 1996. This would be produced by Hanna-Barbera and would generally be considered a little more edgy, adult, and vastly better animation than the original peak production. The story revolves around planet Earth, where we live, which apparently was in danger in the 90s. Essentially, the spirit of the Earth, the very essence of the planet, Gaia, awoke from a very long slumber and took a look around and said, what the fresh hell? And so she, created 5 rings to rule them all and gave them to, very, very special little kids. If you know me, if you've read this, watched this series for long enough, you know my opinion on kid characters, kid sidekicks, all of that. And this show said, hey, how about 5 of them? So let's just get that out of the way. I did not watch the show for that reason. That said, the 4 rings were, powered by the 4 elements, as well as heart for some reason. And when, the kids could not defeat the villain of the week, which was literally every episode, they would sort of Voltron their powers together in Captan Planet, and he would, finish the job, then return to Earth until needed again. Running along this spectacularly long-lived cartoon series were toys made by Tiger Toys. These were very basic, 5-point of articulation figures, but they did run the gamut of, all the Planeteers, Captan Planet, their many, many villains. In terms of, this show, this theme, they did make pretty much all the female characters they needed to, except one. Likewise, of note, this toy line was very interesting for 2 reasons. There was the Barbara Pyle's demands that actual, recyclable materials be used for the toys. So there was a certain mandate from on top for them to be made, sustainably. Likewise, although Tiger Toys made it in the United States, it seems like Kenner made it out of Europe and Grand Toys made it out of Canada. So to actually make a proper checklist, to actually complete the entire Captan Planet run is almost impossible. I mean, there's just so many variations of all of the characters, so it's really hard to track them down. And despite them feeling like they were on, peg warming for a long time, they're incredibly rare to find. Once again, the character in question is Gaia herself, really the sort of, the spark of the whole series' premises. In terms of a character, there's not really much to say. I mean, she was sort of a racially ambiguous, dark-skinned woman, and really, I'd say, a shining example of the truly all-star voice talents that, lent their voices to the show. Gaia herself was voiced by Whoopi Goldberg in the original run, then Margot Kidder later on. While the girl Planeteers were made as action figures, as well as the villain Dr. Blight, as well as variations thereof, Gaia was left out for some reason. So in Tiger Toy catalogs, we've certainly found evidence that she would have appeared at least in 2 different forms. One which, not terribly exciting, but a very fun avenue was the Hope Island playset, Hope Island being the Planeteers' headquarters somewhere around the Bermuda. It was a sort of a large placemat with a lot of different areas of the island that you could move around. It was a very modular kind of playset. Gaia would strictly appear on, a giant view screen essentially, barking orders out them. A figure of Gaia, plus some, variations to complete the Eco Commands team, were found in catalogs as well. Gaia herself, I mean, you see it and you see rooted hair and you think doll, but the fact that she was just an absolute brick, like a plastic, dress with just rootable hair, it just kind of seems like they were kind of at least courting the girl audience. That said, I mean, it's a fun figure. It's a little, a little kind of action doll in a sense, but I mean, for anyone who comes into the comments and says, well, why would they make a figure of this? I mean, if you can make a figure of the Sorceress of Grayskull, you can certainly go for, kind of the mentor figure, the real true leader of the whole operation. So it's unfortunate this wasn't get made, but at the same time, kind of not surprised given how weird this line was. The legacy of Captain Power is, kind of likewise weird. As sort of strange and basic as the cartoon was, I mean, I'm kind of just reading the room here, but it's beloved. Like, people really did love this show. And it is kind of surprising to see how little has been made of it. There's been, a few comic book series. Every, I swear, 3 years, someone's, just committed to making a movie that just doesn't go forward. But likewise, no real toys have been made. Of course, Funko Pop has made Captain Planet Pops, Gaia appearing in that line. But beyond that, I mean, not really a lot. I mean, really, the lasting legacy of Captain Power since the original run was, Don Cheadle's videos, which are, frankly, incredible. I think the difficulty of getting a movie made really speaks to the, kind of halting of its, kind of big comeback. The legal spiderweb of ownership and distribution rights and who owns what, it's one I can't quite decode and one I don't really want to go down any further than I already have. So I do wonder if, at some point we could get a resurgence. I mean, the time is right, but it is a popular brand. It is something I think people would love to see, sort of a return of a more, kind of like modern articulation applied to these characters. But I don't know. I mean, the popularity is there, but the willpower is not. So it's unfortunate we've not gotten, really the full team. I mean, part of the series is really, completing teams, and Gaia was truly the last major character we needed. But I don't know. We'll see. Prove me wrong, society. But I don't think Captain Planet's coming back anytime soon, which says a lot without saying anything at all. And that'll do it for Captain Planet, his crappy Planeteers, and the Goddess, played by Whoopi Goldberg, and Lois Lane, Gaia. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, liking, all those YouTube-y things, and I will see you next time on MIA 80s Ladies.